getting on. Sat by the fireside, pondering on. Picture book, pictures of your mama, taken by your papa a long time ago. Picture book of people with each other to prove they love each other a long time ago. Picture book, picture book.
Gulfstream Park through the years, and we're writing a new chapter here today over the next few hours, and it's so good to have you with us. Coming along for the ride on this live Twilight Friday edition of Gulfstream today. It's Ron Nicoletti, it's Jason Blewett, and one of the final pictures in that sort of virtual Gulfstream yearbook, Mike Smith doing the double pump there aboard Arrogate in the inaugural Pegasus. I'm wondering if you caught video of Mike along with Ovechkin, or Alex Ovechkin, and Braden Holtby drinking on Jimmy Fallon's, and I don't watch the Jimmy Fallon show. I don't watch any of those late night talk shows. I saw it on the internet. But all four of those guys, including Jimmy Fallon, drinking out of the Stanley Cup with a straw.
Well, funny you should mention that. I was flipping the channels and just happened to go on to it while they did that with the straws, and then they picked up Jimmy Fallon and put his whole head in there.
Oh,
so,
did they?
Yeah, and he drank at it at the end. He said, this is too slow, and it was like the final thing. So they picked him up, and good to see Mike there. It's good to see us horse racing getting some recognition.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it was a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted the Stanley Cup. We had it at Baltimore, but I couldn't get close to it. I was working too much, but we had it there during the Preakness.
Yeah, it was at Saratoga a few years ago, and, you know, if you're a fan of hockey, people say you don't ever touch the Stanley Cup, don't touch it. I'm obviously a suffering New York Rangers fan, even though they got very close in a few of the last few seasons. I said, I'm touching it, man. Rangers, I'm never going to see another Stanley Cup win there. And sure enough, boom, out of the playoffs. Didn't even make the playoffs. Anyway, that is a conversation for another time. We digress. Again, it's good to have you along, and we're delighted to see you from our third floor clubhouse studios on a bright and sunny Twilight Friday here at Gulfstream. The sun is out. We're fast and firm, and that money in the Rainbow Six just continues to grow and grow.
Over $500,000. It starts in race number 4 today, and you're absolutely right. It is one of those typical summer days here in South Florida. I'm walking up to the set here. It's pretty warm out today. We got that fast main track firm turf course, and of course we got those rolling super high fives starting right in race number 1.
Absolutely. A little after 2:15 p.m. Loving that shot from the clubhouse turn high above the turf and the main track. An opening pick 5 gets underway, and Friday's first as well. An $18 ticket coming your way in just a couple of moments, and then we move on. It's just a 9-race card on this Friday, June 15th. We move on to the opening leg of the Rainbow Six at 502,000 plus. Good stuff there. And then full circle like we normally do. And again, we'll have that late pick 5. That 5th race today is no doubt a very popular destination. Not only the opening leg of the late pick 5, it is the second leg in that major Rainbow Six carryover. And we're off and running, my friend. Father's Day weekend. We'll have a total, because back-to-back 12s on Saturday and Sunday, total of 33 races over the next 3 days.
33 races, and mark this down. If you're coming out for Father's Day, our post time on Sunday will be at 12:45 to get that other race in. So come out with your dads. It's going to be a lot of fun. And come out with your moms, too.
Absolutely. The whole family.
Yeah, the whole family.
Friends.
Come out with everybody.
Absolutely. All right, let's get the show on the road here as Gulfstream today kicks off with the first pick 5. And as I was saying, an $18 play for me to start things out. I am going 3 deep in a competitive first race. The good news with the 3 that I'm using, aside from the fact that they have respectable post positions, I've got 3 trainers here, every bit of Antonio Sano, Oscar Gonzalez, and Reed Nagel, who have just been going gangbusters of late at Gulfstream. I like that. There's some guesswork to be had in race 2. We do have a couple of 2-year-old maiden claiming sprints playing their part in this early pick 5. In the second, I prefer experience over the firsters. Race 3 to me is all about the grudge match. And Ronnie, I see you've got the 2 and 4 first and second. Only like me, you've got Bon Raison on top of the number 2 Hideaway Hero.
Yeah, I just flipped them around. I just thought that they both ran good enough to win last time out. So we'll see. Bon Raison maybe turns the tables on Hideaway Hero.
Unlike the second, in which I preferred horses that have already raced, it's all about the firsters with me in race 4. That race, quite simply, is crying out for a first-time starter. You've got a few well-connected new faces at that, including Armando de la Cerda, Antonio Sano, and trainer Kathleen O'Connell. And then, at least as far as this early 5 sequence goes, it all comes down to the Pletcher firster in race number 5 for me. He's got a daughter of Blame in the 5, Mambo Dancer. I'm going to take her as my single. If I get there, we get Pletcher home, and if she can run a little, she's probably going to win. Maybe we can turn this $18 investment into a nice, tidy score.
Yeah, I've got my long shot in that race. We'll talk about it in a little while. But this first race here, just watching the board, I think you got the logical 3 on your ticket.
Yeah, and obviously we're still well over an hour out before the Friday first, so the odds are kind of irrelevant at this point, and Stay on Base will be nowhere near that current 8-1. And why don't we start talking about this son of Stay Thirsty, who comes out of a well-timed, hard-fought victory beneath jockey Edgar Zayas. And in fact, the race we're about to show you occurred just 9 days ago on June 6th. Edgar has won a lot of races this meet. In fact, he's just 2 behind Tyler at 54-52 for leading rider status heading into the card. And it's rides like this in which, well, you go, Edgar's won over 50 races. Take a look at what he did here. Sat the pocket behind a couple of duelers, angled out, just a textbook turf ride. Really wound up catching a very stubborn gray horse by the name of False Accusation, who would not go away, but Stay on Base. Very resolute, very determined, and very stout. He's a major threat, Ronnie. You like him to come right back and win 2 in a row?
You're going to turn back to a mile after becoming the only 3-time winner in the field when he got up to score, as you just saw in that mile in the 16th. Antonio Sano, you mentioned he's going great guns. Edgar Zayas going for 2 in a row. And, you know, that's one of my favorite angles. Someone that's done something in the race that no one else has done. And this is a 3-time winner, but coming back on 9 days rest. We'll see how this horse runs, but I like to turn back also to a mile.
Next door for my top pick, the number 3, My Rules. He's got a bit of a slight drop, was wired here Kentucky Derby weekend, just did not get much pace when Flow Motion was able to wire the field at 2-1. And clearly the major hang-up is trainer Oscar Gonzalez as his percentage. It's been quite some time since I saw a strike rate, I think, for Oscar lower than 35%. Yeah. So I'm just going to go with the flow and no qualms at all with trader Reed Nagel, who had a second at a good price in yesterday's nightcap. His horses continue to run big. Let's move on to race number 2. We spoke of Antonio Sano, and in this case, jockey Lionel Reyes. They have legit chances. I've got Lionel on top in race number 1 with my Oscar Gonzalez horse. You've got Antonio on top with Stay on Base. Now, those 2 people, Antonio and Lionel, will combine with the likely favorite in the 5, Passionate Hachi, who does have that experience.
Well, we'll face these 50 maidens after that. I thought a promising state-bred maiden special weight, too, in which he finished second. He showed some good speed. Antonio Sano, you mentioned Lionel Reyes. Want to show you a stat on Mr. Antonio Sano over the last 5 years, with 2-year-olds making their second career start on the dirt right here at Gulfstream Park. Big sampling. He's 12 for 65. That's 18%. He's in the money 46% of the time, and he's got a positive return of investment, $2.36. And as we always mention, Jason, he comes at you with lots of horses, and that's why you got this big sampling.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And look, when you have that many horses, and many of them, for the most part, are claimers towards the lower end of the spectrum, I mean, you're bound to have some cold spots and some streaks. This is a time, though, over the last, I'd say, week and change, where Antonio has really heated up. He picked up another winner here yesterday afternoon who paid about $40, wiring one of the earlier races on Thursday's card, and that actually brings up my next point. I'm not sure you weren't here yesterday, but the main track, we ran 4 races on the dirt yesterday. All 4 were won by the Inside Speed, who wired. So we had a pretty strong rail. I am not some crazy bias monger guy, but I just cannot I can't say that we didn't have a bias yesterday because the rail to me looks so strong. And
always this time of year, if you've spent many years at Gulfstream like we all have, this time of year, the speed starts to build on the main track because of just the hot weather and the drying out. So always a good angle to look for. Yep. See if it carries over to today. Watch those first couple of dirt races, especially with this Passionate Hachi. Looks like this one's going to be in the first flag.
Yeah, some speed with that one for sure. And then the 7, Handsome Chewy, who drops in for maiden 50, debuted here on the turf. Marcus Vitale's very sharp, and he's obviously rebuilt his stable up, and he's got close to 40 horses, if not more than 40, currently here in South Florida. One thing, though, that caught me by surprise in the nightcap back on the 1st of June, just a couple of weeks ago, was the fact that this horse was crushed at 3-1. Marcus Vitale in a special weight with the 2-year-old on the turf in early June, not the kind of barn I would expect or think would get bet the way this horse got bet. I'm wondering, though, if today might be the end game in a horse that could be a lot better.
And I tried to find a stat with doing what he's doing today, and I just couldn't find any kind of numbers that would belie showing you with a horse, a 2-year-old going from turf to dirt. There was just nothing there. So interesting move for him this afternoon.
Yeah, we'll see. Miguel Vasquez, who picked up a couple of wins here yesterday. In fact, one of 3 riders who had a riding double on Thursday along with Edgar Zayas and Raylu Gutierrez will have the call there. Now, it's all about a real grudge match here in Friday's 3rd race on the turf, as we have a field of 6 and a compact field at that, which is noteworthy because as we look at both Bon Raison and Hideaway Hero, who had very different trips and 2 very distinctive running styles last time out when they met 48 days ago, I'm giving the edge today to Bon Raison because this horse has got speed where Hideaway Hero is best as a 1-run. Now, Bon Raison got a great ride from Carlos Montalvo. We had him highlighted first in the black cap. He's 3rd right now along the rail, basically looking for a way through. Here comes the gray, though. This was a big effort from off the pace from Hideaway Hero, who didn't get much pace to close into and still finished up like gangbusters. Do I think this is the strongest turf race we've run this year at Gulfstream? No, and I say that because you got that really bunched up finish. But still, I feel as though in terms of ability, Bon Raison and Hideaway Hero are the 2 best horses in here. And I think the edge, just in a short field, has got to go to a horse that's got that early speed.
Got that early speed, always, you know, a great commodity to have. And I saw it the same way, but that's the beauty of an exacta box. Also want to show you a stat on Mr. Todd Pletcher, a layoff of 31 to 60 days in the optional claiming ranks on the turf right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 8 for 42, 19%. He's in the money 50% of the time. He's got that $1.14 return of investment. You wouldn't think there would be 42 horses that have done this, but of course during the championship media does. So a good angle, but I'm with you, Jason. I just thought the speed, just a slight nod over Hideaway Hero.
And not that Montalvo did anything wrong. In fact, he rode a perfect race some 50 days ago. But when you can get Gaffleone, who's obviously the first call rider for this barn and the leading rider at the meet, you take him. So Bon Raison for Ronnie and I. We'll see what the rail horse can do in this one. Gemontier, who obviously blew up the tote board at nearly 20-1 first time out. Horse that's got some early speed, but I still feel as though the speed and the foundation of Todd's horse will be the edge in race number 3.
Yeah, I think so too. And the other horse I threw him was the 3 General Patty, dropping to the 50 level for Armando de la Cerda and failed to show much. That was on the dirt. Maybe this horse grabs a share at a little bit of a price.
We want more than a share, 502,000 plus, and a wildly competitive turf spread. All that and more coming your way on the other side of this quick timeout.
As an owner, I love the Breeders' Cup Win in Your In series.
To win one of these challenge series is a way that we kind of map out our schedule throughout the year with our horses.
If you win one of the challenge races, you have a very good horse.
The King George, which is our Win in Your In race, provides the top middle distance horse in Europe. We saw Highland Real running both races.
We know when we show up at the Breeders' Cup, we've got the world to beat, not just everybody in the United States. Breeders' Cup Challenge, win, and you're in.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
Always good catching up with our friends and partners over at ExpressBet.com, and welcome back to this live Twilight Friday edition of Gulfstream Today with Ronnie and Jason. The bright lights of our clubhouse studios. A bit later on, we'll be joined by Pete Aiello with the scratches and changes, and Ronnie and I will take it downstairs right outside the walking ring from our paddock side studios. Good stuff all around, and even better stuff with 502K in the jackpot carryover.
Yeah, and I'll show you my ticket today, $48.60 for me, and you'll see I get a single. Way down in race number 8, it's Real Fast Music from the Kathleen O'Connell barn. And in race number 5 today, my long shot is the number 4, and that's Gone Blues. 12-1 on the morning line from the Mark Cassie barn with with Missy El Jaramillo in the saddle. So I like that horse for a little bit of a price. $48.60 for me this afternoon.
One of 2 Mark Cassie trained runners, in fact, in the 5th. And Gone Blues, I agree, looks a bit stronger than the other Cassie runner, the number 10, Sierra Alone, who's going from the outside. Bunch of fillies in a very competitive 5th race today. And I'll tell you, you pulled the trigger on a single, Ronnie, in the 8th race. But that is a very good race. I give that allowance race, no matter who you like, top billing on today's card, because between Real Fast Music, always a dreamer, and even Wiser, who's my best bet today, I feel as though it's just a really good matchup.
It's a really good matchup, and I like the fact that Kathleen puts this horse in a good spot today. Had a single somewhere to make the ticket affordable.
Sure.
So, as I mentioned, $48.60 for me. Good luck with your picks, and you get to watch this first race before you make your ticket, and it's a 2-year-old race. Always good to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. The second 2-year-old race in this early pick 5, and obviously leg number 1 in the Rainbow Six at 4.5 furlongs over the fast main track. Our second dirt race as well today, and will be 2-year-old race or not in the second, will be fixed upon the main to see if that strong rail that we had throughout Thursday's card, if that continues today. But anyway, these are juvenile $25,000 maiden claimers, and a completely opposite mode of attack for me in this upcoming 4th race, whereas in the other baby race, I liked horses with experience. Here, Ronnie and I, at least as far as our top pick goes, we want the firsters. I've got the 5 Yale Deal on top. It's Kathleen O'Connell's so good at legging. Not only preparing horses and getting them gate sharp and paddock schooled and just getting them finished products for their respective debuts, she's very good at just placement. And I have a feeling, Gelding with a very blue-collar, very modest Florida-type pedigree, she's got Yale Deal in a spot where this horse is going to be live.
Yeah, and a lot of nice workouts over at Gulfstream Park West. So the horse is always, Kathleen, that's our home base. We'll have this horse ready to run. I did go to the inside. Now, I know the rail is a little tough to take with these 2-year-olds, but this one, Organic Jenny, is his son of brethren, debuting for Armando de la Cerda. Lasix apprentice Raylu Gutierrez handling that inside post. I just thought they're going with this horse.
Yeah, no
so
doubt.
maybe with that bias yesterday, maybe I can steal one along the rail. I got Yale Deal on the ticket for all the reasons you mentioned.
And of the ones that have run already, and you've got your pick, in fact, you've basically got, of the ones with experience, almost all of them are coming out of the same race, the 4th race here, over a good sealed track on May 25th. The 8-horse Rosas for Jimmy looks the best of that quartet.
Yeah, again, returning to the same level after responding to both the drop down last time out to that $50,000 level and the addition of Lasix with that improved 3rd place finish. So this one looks like it's moving in the right direction.
Like the 5th today as well. Race 8, the highlight in my personal opinion. The 7th is a crazily competitive turf sprint for some tough older turf sprint claimers. But the 5th race shouldn't take a back seat today. It's a very competitive and intriguing 3-and-up filly mare maiden special weight. In fact, you've got numbers here as we have a cast of 10 battling that 2-turn turf mile. Now, Todd Pletcher does have the favorite in the opening leg of this late pick 5. In the first pick 5, I put all my eggs in the Pletcher basket and singled the number 5 horse Mambo Dancer. This race, or this sequence rather, I've got 3 to start things out. I'm going 1, 2, and 5. But again, to me, this race quite simply depends on what Mambo Dancer does. If she can run a little bit and she's slightly above average, she's probably going to win. On to race number 6, couple of speed horses. Both my horses have speed, and I gave the edge like a lot of people are going to do to Trader Gilberto Zerpa. 7th race, what'd you think of the 7th? I'm 3 deep there, and you picked the 5, I'm Cardinal, who I like as well. That horse is a bit of a wise guy guessing type horse because he's been far more of a dirt horse, but that's a good field.
That's a good field, and he's an 11-time winner. We're talking about the 5 on Cardinal, going on the turf for a barn that excels with doing this, so that was my thought process there. And I knew I'd get a little bit of a price, but you have it on top too, so we'll see how that plays out. But that's a fun race.
Yeah, it is. Your Friday featured 8th race will go, I should say, as the final dirt race on the card. Ronnie singled the 1, Real Fast Music off a big 2nd place finish at almost 70-1. I, on the other hand, prefer a horse as my single who gets that advantageous outside post in the number 6 Wiser, who I am treating like a 2nd-time starter. He's the blue at best bet today, the Triple B on this Friday, June 15th. And we wrap it up. I just didn't know where to go in race number 9 today. I know the 6, Are You Talking to Me, is 0 for a dozen, and he's probably going to be favored. But outside of him and the Knicks' second-time starter in Rumbago, I just had a tough time getting cute and trying to invent things with the bigger-priced horses.
Yeah, I use Beach Treasure in there just because the half-brother horse I like, a Grade 2 winner called East Hall. But East Hall did most of its winning on the main track. Just something I went with for a bit of a price in the final leg. But I got those other 2 horses that you have in your ticket on my late pick, Rainbow 6.
All right, so back-to-back $18 plays for me, blowing up at least $36 out of the expressbet.com account today. So I'm at least 36 in the hole. We'll try to get lucky in some of the other races and obviously hope to hit both those pick 5s. Again, it all goes back in this upcoming Friday 5th race to the 5 Mambo Dancer. Maybe not your typical Pletcher firster. It's a 2-turn turf race. This is a 3-year-old filly. She doesn't have some crazy purchase price or even pedigree at that, but I can tell you she'll come over here and debut. Very, very well polished, very well schooled. And the good news is the dam won 4 races. All of them were on the turf. I'm hoping that carries through, and maybe she can get the money over your long shot, the 4 Gone Blues.
Well, I have a little bit of a stat I want to show you here with my man, Mr. Todd Pletcher. Showed you one earlier that he was good at. This one, first-time starter, 3-year-olds and up, maiden special weights on the turf. He's 7 for 78, 9%, 31% in the money, and only that $1.61 return on investment. But believe me, it's Todd Pletcher. If he wins, no one should be shocked in the world. Just wanted to point that out. Always good to let people know that.
Absolutely.
Maybe not one of his sharpest angles.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's why I said this is not really your typical Pletcher firster. I guess the winning profile that I have in my mind, because we are dealing with a horse that's running 2 turns on the turf. But again, Todd is so good at evaluating the talent in his barn and placing his horses where they're going to be most effective. I would imagine if Mambo Dancer could really run, she'd probably at this time of the year, let's be honest, she'd be debuting at Belmont or hanging around for Saratoga. She's here at Gulfstream. I'm hoping she's properly placed, and I'm going to take her on top of the One Strike My Fancy, who is a bit of a big price guess on my part, a bit of a stab. She has shown nothing in her 3 races to date, but I'm thinking, A, she's likely going to be a turf horse being by Smart Strike, and B, maybe you get some improvement from the rail first time on what will be her preferred surface for trainer Lily Kurtnitz.
Yeah, I did not use that one in my ticket, but can I tell you about my sneaky in this race here before we show you a performance from Expect an Entry? Gone Blues is a daughter of Curlin, debuting on the turf. First start, showed some speed and faded. That was a sprint debut at the fairgrounds, but that race was won by a horse called Talk View to Me, who came back and ran second in the Grade 2 8 Bells, and the horse that finished second, Abounding Joy, came back to win at Keeneland, at the tough Keeneland spring meet. So Gone Blues off that. I was looking for a little bit of a long shot. It's my long shot play today. You know, it's Mark Cassie. You're getting MCL Jaramillo. I thought that was a way to go. Got the 5 Mambo Dance, even though I showed you the stat.
Right.
I'm not leaving that one off the ticket.
No, that race was killer as far as the quality of the field that she faced. In fact, the winner of that race was just second in the Acorn on Belmont Day behind the 3-year-old filly and Monomoy Girl.
Monomoy?
Yeah, Monomoy Girl, who's just an absolute beast. Anyway, let's talk about the 2 Expect an Entry. It's funny, as we've worked our way through the field, we've talked about maybe more of the new faces or the wise guy horses, but this horse arguably has, in fact, I don't think it's arguable, this horse has the best-looking last-out turf race Expect an Entry back on May the 10th. So we're smack dab between the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and this horse got a very good ride that afternoon beneath Tyler Gaffalione, basically tracking in the pocket, sitting inside, and angling out. The winner of this race in Kitzel Park blew up the tote board. That horse was, what, 30 to 1 in that race? Paid about $80 to win. I'm anxious to see, though, because this race, with the 2 horses, only 2 have run back out of this Expect an Entry race from May 10th. Both Kitzel Park and Tropicality came back and were bet, and there was a big drop-off in terms of their performance. So that race, although it looks good on paper, and she's a player here, it might not be a key race in the making.
And we got that musical jockeys again, because Tyler's moving the Mambo Dancer, and Leonel Reyes is going to be on Expect an Entry, and Leonel Reyes can ride. Don't worry about it.
Oh, he definitely can. I think he's got a legit chance to sweep the early double today. In fact, his horse still favored with 38 minutes on the clock at 2 to 1 in Friday's first. Race number 6 this afternoon, we have got a main track sprint, a quick one here at 6.5 furlongs. These are 3-and-up filly and mare, 6250 claimers. I prefer horses that have some early oomph out of the gate, and a lot of people are going to prefer the number 6 Power Jack because of 2 words, and that will be Gilberto Zerpa.
Yeah, Gilberto Zerpa. I keep rubbing my eyes when I look back. He's winning races here at a 50% clip. His Power Jack is stepping up to the change running tactics. He sat a little bit off the pace last time he drew up, but he just beat those 2 lifetime claimers in the slop. It's Gilberto Zerpa. I think this horse is going to be prominently placed. Now, I want to ask you, I was missing yesterday. I had the day off. Now I come back, and it's now Romero Ramsey Mirage.
I'm wondering.
Do you know it?
What'd you say?
Would you hear anything?
I did not hear anything. I'm thinking maybe somebody goofed on his riding application or something like that. Or look, I mean, when you're a Mirage, and there's quite a few of them floating around, I'd say the most well-known and popular is jockey Rajiv Mirage. I think Romero, unless there was a mistake, like I said, on his riding application, and his name wasn't spelled out or just was left off somehow, he wants to be known as part of the Mirage clan because that is instant clout and instant gratification, my friend.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. From one day to the next, I saw his name barely fits on the program now, so they'll have to make some adjustments.
I did the same thing, and at first, when I was working on Thursday's card over the dark days, I'm going, Mirage. I'm like, is Rajiv coming down here to ride a little bit? And sure enough, it's Romero Ramsey, who, I mean, all kidding aside, he's gotten off to a really good start as a young apprentice. He just graduated high school a couple of weeks ago, and a native of Hollywood, Florida. Grew up not too far here from Gulfstream Park. Let's move on to race number 7. We go with a field of 12. To me, although the 8th race is the technical feature, this race is the toughest on the card today. I mean, you've got a maxed out field to capacity of 12 set to go in this 3-and-up $16,000 claimer. And I swung here, and clearly you did too, Ronnie, with the 5 I'm Cardinal. It's the speed, and it's the fact that I would argue that trainer Ralph Zadie, and there's a few guys that do it very well, to me, he is the leading turf sprint trainer in South Florida. He does an outstanding job with these older geldings who probably, and in most cases, have quite a few miles on them. For him to think this horse, who's been a salty dirt horse throughout his career, for him to think that this horse can hack it on the turf, I'm viewing as a good sign.
And owned by Rich Araville, who's part of that, those people that have all those great sprinters, and not even close with Ralph Zadie as far as I'm concerned. He is the best with the turf sprinters. Well, Carlo, how interesting is this horse? He's an 11-time winner in the dirt. He now goes to their barn, Ralph Zadie's barn, goes to the turf. He comes off a win, 5,000 claimers up on the main track in Tampa. Boy, this is so interesting.
Yeah, he's a really interesting horse in today's 7th race. If he didn't have as much early speed as he brings to his races, maybe I would have gone in another direction, but I combined first time Zadie on the turf here sprinting with this horse's take no prisoner style, and it's Cardinal for Ronnie and I to wire the field. But you've got some salty horses in here, including the elder statesman, the 9-year-old. He's the lone 9-year-old in the race, the number 2 Texas Rustler, who's off a layoff and has been prepping up at Palmettos for trainer Mickey Kroger. I respect your 3-horse, very colorful. And I go for greatness. The 4, I think he gets some points because more often than not, he's pretty consistent.
Yeah, returned from a 3-month layoff. He finished that productive 3rd against those 12-5 open claimers. It's Chuck Simon. Got a Romero Ramsey Mirage in the saddle. Today we'll add that, handling the 2nd start off the bench, but very colorful. Just to go back, this horse is returning to the claiming ranks. This one finished 3rd behind Crystal River Stakes winner Pay Any Price and next out winner Diddley in that really strong 16 optional claimer. If this horse gets a trip behind the speed, boy, this one wins.
Yeah, he's best with the late run. Not a winning type per se, a 3 for 34 and just 1 for his last 14, but there's no arguing here the kind of firepower he's been lining up against it. Again, nothing wrong with picking up jockey Miguel Vasquez and being reunited with Miguel, as that native of Panama comes out of a 2-win Thursday, and in fact, he's got 46 wins and counting. Race number 8, a good one, no doubt. The final dirt race here on this Twilight Friday, also tabbed as the Friday feature for this Florida bred, other than allowance optional claimer, as we go with a field of a half a dozen. The neat thing, and what makes this race, at least to me, Ronnie, so compelling, is you have 3 very distinct, almost an eclectic group in horses, from the 1, Real Fast Music, the 2, Always a Dreamer, and the 6, Wiser, who respectively are all coming out of big efforts, career best efforts to date. One of them is probably going to win here. You like the one Real Fast Music, and good luck getting anywhere near that 66-1 last time.
Yeah, you're not getting that. This is stretching out to a mile after shipping in from Tampa for trainer Kathleen O'Connell. We've been talking about a lot today. After finishing second, was beaten only in that was a 75 optional claimer, contesting at 7/8 of a mile. He's the son of Corfu, and I think he should be able to negotiate this added distance of a mile. Just like him today off that performance, and I like the job that Kathleen does. Had a single somewhere,
yeah.
But I think that your horse, your best bet was, is a pretty nice horse.
I think so as well, and let's look at his maiden win. He was coming in the race we're about to show you on May 12th. Off a 4.5-month layoff. He didn't beat much, and you can get a sense of that in just how gapped out and exaggerated this field is at the top of the stretch. But I'm not holding that against him. He's well connected. He's got a terrific pedigree, and I'm treating him today not only with a horse that's got the advantageous outside post, I'm treating him as a second-time starter, because his debut in hindsight, not only did he run against Strike Power, he did it outside against a very strong rail here on December 23rd. Like what I saw last time out from the 6 Weiser. Put him on top of your single today, Real Fast Music. What do you think? And clearly you and I are less enthused than some people I've spoken to about the number 2, Always a Dreamer, who if he runs back to that last race, the others could be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone that you have to give a second look to. I just thought that this race, as you mentioned early on, it's probably a very competitive race.
Yeah.
That if that horse jumps up and wins, I'm out of the Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah, no, this horse is legit. If he can come in off that off-the-turf race, a very important distinction last time out when he was favored against a bunch of turf horses who were running on the dirt, he is a legit horse. A big test for Always a Dreamer. We'll see how he does. A good featured 8th race coming up. Race number 9 does bring down the curtain. It's a $20,000 maiden claimer for 3 and up at a 2-turn turf mile. We have got a horse 0 for 12 who's burned some cash, but has run well and has been maybe a horse that has tortured the people that have backed him or his connections, because he's been a consistent check getter, but he hasn't won. That is, of course, the number 6. Are You Talking to Me? And believe me, Ronnie, I got to him, and then I got to your top pick, Rumbago. I said, all right, I want to shop around. I want to get something silly to win, take a stab at a price. I just couldn't do it here. Yeah. I really feel the 6 and 8, 8 and 6 look a bit better than everybody else.
Well, the horse I'm glad you have him in 3rd is the 4 Beach Treasure, who's a half brother, as I mentioned earlier, the East Hall, a grade 2 winner. Stretching out to mile, he had some traffic problems. We're finishing 5th. That was going 7.5. Steve Town, Miguel Vasquez, looking for a little bit of a different way to go. Are You Talking to Me? The thing that bothered me was that 0 for 12.
Sure.
Want to show you a stat quickly on Rumbago for Ralph Nix, with horses doing the dirt to turf mood, sprinter route. He's 5 for 55, only 9%, 29% in the money, 77 cents return of investment. Just adds to the intrigue of the final race.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that may throw a monkey wrench. I'll tell you what, I look at that stat, doesn't really make me want to run to the windows to bet the number 8 Rumbago. But again, this horse might be able to run a little bit, which is a definite feather potentially in the cap of that gelding by Soldat. And not for nothing, Ralph Nix, your leading trainer here at the meet, as we get down. I mean, we're really starting to wind down. There's a couple of weeks left here in the spring meet, and he's got the target on his back, Ronnie. He's got 15 wins, 2 in front of a whole bunch of guys that got 13.
Nipping at his heels, as they say.
Absolutely. Just like track announcer Pete Aiello is doing to you and I. It's time to say goodbye, but not for long. We'll see you about 15 minutes, give or take, before Friday's first. And Pete Aiello, your Twilight Friday would not be complete without a little Pete. He's coming up next with those scratches and changes.
A passion for horses and a commitment to breed champions is the foundation of Hardacre Farm. Founded by Amy Tarrant, owner, breeder, and trainer, Hardacre Farm, based in Ocala, continues its tradition of success from the Breeders' Cup to Gulfstream Park. Hardacre Farm, from the breeding shed to the racetrack, in pursuit of producing the best.